Okay, welcome back to 5 Minute Bible Study. We had a few days off there because I was away camping, which is the last thing I'd want to be doing, and so I couldn't record. But here we are, and we're actually at a crucial part. We're at Matthew chapter 5, and it's beginning the Beatitudes, and so I'm going to break this down as slowly as I can. Let me read a couple verses and then I'll explain what I did when I went through this on my own. Just when I was studying it with no intent to share with anybody. I just approached it this way so I could understand it better. So the verses are, I'll start with verse 1 to 4. And if I have time for more, I'll do it later. Now, when he saw the crowds, he went up on a mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him and he began to teach them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." So keep in mind, I am not a theologian. So just noticing things about Jesus, I like that he saw all the people, he saw all the crowds, and he needed a break. So he went up to the mountainside and he sat down. There's something very human about that statement, and I very much appreciate it. And then the disciples followed you there. I wrote you there. This struck me as their faithfulness and their humility to follow him. And this was when he began to teach them. When they came to him, he started teaching them. And the first one is, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." So what I did was I Googled different words for poor in spirit. And here are some words that I found. Despair, desperation, gloom, grief, sorrow, woe. They're despairing and grieving their sinfulness, that they can't get it right. These are people who know that they don't have what it takes. They know that they need a higher power. They just can't get it right. Every time they think they can bear down and focus, they do a little screw up. And so to sum it up, I said, because they know they don't have what it takes, they will call out to me a higher power. And this is what gives them heaven after death. This is what gives them forgiveness and hope, because they just simply acknowledge they don't have what it takes. They need something that is beyond them. And when I read the Alcoholics Anonymous book, this is a huge component of it, is just acknowledging you can't stop drinking on your own and you need a higher power to do it. And I think we're in a day and age where we don't want to admit we aren't good enough, or that we have faults, or that we come short. We're not good at everything. We need help. And we actually need to ask for it. We can't just excuse our way out of it. We have to come to the point where we say, I don't have it. I don't have what it takes. And now I need someone to help me. And then the next verse was, "Blessed are the mourners. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." I did the same thing. So another word for mourning is regret, grieving, sorrow over, weep for, shed tears over, agonize, suffer, brokenhearted. And other words for comforted are reassured, satisfied, cared, and consoled. And so the sentence I wrote was, those who are shedding tears over their shortcomings, that they can't be or do what God wants. They are brokenhearted for failing and hurting God. They regret their sin. And because they are brokenhearted, that they cannot measure up to God's standard, they will welcome God and be satisfied with his forgiveness and grace. They will be reassured and consoled because God's grace covers what they cannot do. They will welcome God's grace to wash away their shame. And what's beautiful about these two things, I love Beatitudes, what's beautiful is both require admitting you can't do it and opening your arms to Jesus. But not seeing that needing help is a downfall. I think it's such a shot to people's pride today when you need someone's help. But to actually embrace the relief and the hope and the joy and saying, I can't do this, and God jumps right in and says, don't worry, I can. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. It's like when you work out and you lift weights, and my trainer says it's good sometimes to lift to failure, to lift to the point where you can't lift anymore and you have to stop because you physically can't do it. You reached your failure point. And we have a failure point. And that's when God steps in and picks it up and does the work for us. And we just need to fess up to that a lot sooner than we do.